Hello everybody, this is Zoe from Stage to Page. I hope you're all doing really well, and today I'm here to talk about a bit of a controversial convention that I've just come back from. So on the 17th of September there was a convention held at the Marriott Hotel. It was a multi-fandom convention and it was called Dream It Fest or Dream It Con. I believe it was their first UK event, so I guess the UK is still pretty new to them in terms of hosting events, and they are a French company. So before things even began, there was a bit of a language barrier when you were queuing up to get passes and things like that. I mean, even before the event officially began, there were some issues and there were a lot of complaints going around because two of the main guests, one of them being the reason that I actually booked tickets, both cancelled. That was Natalia Dyer. She cancelled the day before. And although I was really upset, I wasn't going to complain or say anything negative, because when you book a convention, you know that these things happen. You should never book a convention for just one person if you're going to be that disappointed when they cancel. So I am going to say, if you were one of those people that was slating the convention because of that on Twitter, that isn't okay. That is really standard for guests to cancel days, hours before, due to a whole load of reasons. So I wasn't that annoyed about that, just a little bit upset. So if you didn't hear about this convention, the people that were in attendance were the cast of Heartstopper, so actors like Kit Connor and Joe Locke. Also guests from Shadow and Bone like Ben Barnes and Freddie Carter. There was Sam Claflin, Emilia Clarke. There was also a guest from Bridgerton, which I don't watch, but she was so gorgeous. So it really was a multi-fandom event. I will say that the organisation of this convention was horrific. The space was tiny and it simply wasn't big enough for the volume of people that were there and all of the activities that were going on at one time. Another thing was that there were no identifiable staff there. Usually you can see people wearing tops that have staff on them or things like that, but this was not the case for that convention, and it was really hard because no one was identifiable. There were no signs anywhere. Everything was just absolutely chaotic. I'll be honest, no one seemed to know what they were doing, whether that be staff, guests, attendees, just no one knew. If you've been to a convention before, I usually go to quite a few every year, you will know that there are spaces for autographs and spaces for photos. And there was just 2 rooms to accommodate all of the guests' photos and autographs that were going on throughout the day. And the queue for both was all in the same corridor, which I think was about this thin, maybe? It felt that thin. And there was no system that told you to queue one way. This corridor was full of people queuing for autos and photos. It was also the walkway for the guests to get through to get to different events. It was also the walkway to get in and out of the event. It was just pure chaos. You simply could not move in that corridor. But one thing that was abnormally huge was the panel room. The panel room where they had, obviously the panels, was just absolutely humongous in comparison to where everything else was happening. But I know that the first few rows were meant to be for VIP only, but they were just letting anyone sit wherever they wanted, which I think if I paid for VIP I would be a little bit upset about, because VIP was expensive. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you will know that I am disabled and I have reduced mobility, and I'll be honest, accessibility was real hit and miss at this event. I had some really positive experiences with their team and some really negative ones. So one of the positive ones was that I was queuing to buy extras with one of my friends who also has reduced mobility, and one of us said that we were struggling to stand, and one of the organisers overheard her say that and instantly grabbed us both, took us both to a seated area, did everything by the phone for us so that we could do it stress-free. And I thought that was just really, really kind of her, and that was June, and she was so lovely, so thank you for that, June. But then another instance was that I was queuing for Kit Connor and for his photo shoot. It was pure carnage queuing for that. It was so busy, and I showed my access card, which should have, in theory, let me in to the event first so that I could get my photo out of the way and go and sit back down, but they wouldn't let me. So I had to queue for a really long time, and it made me suffer a hell of a lot afterwards. And they did have a separate access queue, but they were not letting me in there. They were saying that that was for people in wheelchairs only, even though that's not what their reduced mobility pass is for. But what I will say is that I have spoke to the organisers since then, and they have been really nice about that and are trying to sort out the issue for future events. So I will say that they were really proactive and actually found me on Twitter to do that. I will say that I also saw on Twitter talks of things like racism happening. I saw a lot of other disabled people like myself had problems too. I saw also that there was a meeting room where a group of fans paid an extortionate amount of money to spend 30 minutes with Emilia Clarke and were only given 20 minutes and haven't yet been offered any kind of compensation. Obviously I can't vouch for any of these because I don't know what happened because I wasn't part of that situation, but they have apologised for the racism, so I'm assuming that did happen. Obviously they've reached out to me to apologise for the discrimination of disability that happened, but I've not seen anything about the Emilia Clarke thing just yet. There were guests crying on the floor because of missed photo ops and you didn't know what was happening next, and yeah, honestly, the whole thing was a bit of a shit show. The physical photos, normally, if you've been to a convention, you will know that they often take a picture, it prints instantly, they give you it there and then. That didn't happen, that was fine. They said that they'd be ready in an hour in a table nearby, and I was like, okay, fine. No. It was 2 PM when they started giving out the photos. The convention started at 10 o'clock. And it wasn't done in an organised fashion. It was simply hundreds of photos being put onto 2 tables, and it was just a free-for-all. No one was manning it, no one was helping give them out. It was simply, here's all these pictures, there's hundreds of guests now trying to find their photos while rifling through everyone else's. At one point it got so out of hand that one of the organisers picked up a batch, went and sat on the floor in the panel room, and just a circle of attendees circled round her, and she was just like putting photos on the floor trying to find people. I've just never known such chaos in my life. I think I was lucky to be disabled and have my access card in a way, because I spoke to so many guests who missed things or were queuing for hours but didn't get what they wanted. And apart from that one issue that I had with Kit Connor's queue, everything went really smoothly for me, and I was in and out of most things in a couple of minutes because most of the team were really, really good with people that had reduced mobility. Now, while this does feel like I've just been moaning and complaining the entire time, which I think I have, to be fair, something I will say is that the guests and every interaction I had with the guests was just wonderful. I was lucky enough to meet Ben Barnes, Sam Claflin, Freddie Carter and Kit Connor, and honestly it was just amazing. I will insert some photos now of meeting Kit and Ben because I paid for selfies with them separately. As part of your general admission you got this poster free, and I got Ben Barnes to sign it for me, which just says, "To Zoe, all my love, Ben Barnes." You also got this lanyard with your name on it, and that was actually super cute. It just has the date and the name of the convention on it. And then I paid for professional photos with Freddie Carter and Sam Claflin. This is my one with Sam, which I absolutely love. And this one with Freddie is my favourite photo op of all time. Look how cute it is. I love it so much. So yeah, I simply couldn't fault any of the guests. The interactions were amazing, and although the whole thing was as chaotic as could be, they were all brilliant. It didn't feel rushed. I felt like they had all the time in the world with them, which isn't really something I feel like I can say at conventions. And besides the panels themselves not being in order and there being slight delays and changes to some of them, I really enjoyed the panels and thought they worked really well. You could easily ask a question if that's what you wanted to do. So yeah, I thought that part of the day worked really well. I do think some compensation should be given to any of the guests that paid for general admission or higher, because it was £70 to get into the convention, and I just don't think it was worth that because of how much chaos then ensued afterwards. As I say, I was lucky to be disabled because I got everything I wanted done that I'd paid for, but I know people that missed duo photo ops with the Heartstopper crew. Me and my friends went and sat with a girl who was really upset on the floor because she had missed it and they refused to sort anything out for her. So yeah, it was hard for some people. But for me, apart from the chaos that did happen, I had an amazing day with my friends and made such amazing memories meeting some of my favourite actors. So in that regard, I couldn't fault it because all of my interactions were amazing and I did have an amazing day with my friends. I did find that a lot of what people were moaning about online is normal to what happens at conventions. A lot of people were saying, oh, we only got a few seconds during our photo, which is pretty standard if you've been to a convention before. People were saying that, oh, I've queued for 2 hours for one autograph. Again, that's pretty standard for conventions. And you know what? Despite all the controversy and how much did happen, I would give them another chance because most of the staff were really nice. Most of the staff were trying their best with the shit show that they were given. And at the end of the day, it was their first event. They are going to learn from their mistakes, hopefully. And hopefully they do come back because the calibre of the guests at that event were just amazing. Like, some of the most in-demand guests at the moment. Although I have to say, Natalia and Danielle were two of the biggest guests. They're both American, they both cancelled. And I think, thank God they did cancel, because I cannot imagine the carnage that would have happened with another 2 major guests there. It would have just been horrific. I can't even imagine. But overall, I did have a great day. I would go back again if the guests were as good as they were last time. But I know that there have been a lot of complaints. If you type in DreamItCon on Twitter, you're just met with a whole load of bad experiences. But I had a great time. Freddie was my favourite. I think I've just fallen head over heels in love with him. He's just beautiful. And yeah, Sam Claflin smells amazing. That was something that I took away from the convention. But yeah, did you go to this convention? I would love to know your thoughts, your experiences, how everything went for you. So please feel free to let me know in the comments below. Or if you're going to one soon, if you've been to one before in a different country, let me know. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment, subscribe, all that usual good stuff. Also, you can turn on the notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos, which is usually once a week. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you would like to see more of on my channel, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.